My obscenely wealthy, arrogant brother-in-law tossed a heavy set of brass keys onto his pristine hardwood floor and coldly sneered, "You are nothing more than a dirt-scratching, low-wage demolition grunt. Tear out that old masonry fireplace by midnight for free, or I will ensure you never work another construction job in this county." He delivered this deeply calculated, venomous ultimatum with a predatory smirk, perfectly playing the part of the untouchable corporate elite. Standing right beside him in a flawless, custom-tailored designer suit, I wore my standard, faded canvas apron and scuffed steel toe boots, a stark visual contrast symbolizing the massive, unbridgeable power gap between the man who owned the estate and the handyman hired to destroy its history. That moment set the tone for an agonizing, deeply humiliating campaign of psychological marginalization. Throughout the entire demolition project, my brother-in-law and his wealthy associates treated me like an invisible nuisance. Whenever he hurled a fresh insult or threatened to withhold my payment for minor delays, his inner circle of sycophantic guests never looked up from their smartphones, smirking into their crystal glasses while participating entirely in my public degradation. I was the designated pariah, forced to work in suffocating silence while they laughed just out of earshot. But the true cruelty wasn't just his verbal abuse, it was the suffocating, oppressive weight of the house itself, a notorious local estate where a tragic, unsolved murder had occurred decades ago during my childhood, a cold case that had ruined my family's reputation because my late uncle had been falsely accused of the crime. Whenever I paused my tools to catch my breath, my brother-in-law would aggressively march into the room, toss a mocking gag gift box filled with childish trash onto my workbench, and demand I double my pace. He was actively trying to mock my family's painful history, using his immense wealth and arrogant intimidation to ensure I remained isolated, ignorant, and completely compliant with his oppressive schedule. I did not argue with his insults, nor did I react to his humiliating gag gifts. I simply swallowed my rage, gave him a cold, obedient nod, and buried myself deeper into the grueling, brutal physical labor. What my brother-in-law completely failed to realize, what none of my wealthy family understood, because they were entirely too blinded by their own unearned arrogance, was that I had not been a standard residential handyman for over a decade. Over the past 10 years of working brutal, bone-crushing shifts across the city, I had quietly built a hidden second life. I spent my nights studying municipal zoning laws, architectural forensics, and cold case investigative procedures, quietly earning formal certifications that gave me the legal authority to reopen and audit stagnant police investigations. While he was busy playing the part of an untouchable corporate king, I was secretly studying the city's criminal archives from the inside out, collecting legal precedents and building an airtight dossier on historical forensics. I was playing the part of the obedient, silent worker, while secretly positioning myself with the exact legal power needed to completely shatter his pristine world. The trap snapped violently shut the exact moment my heavy steel sledgehammer struck the core of the hearth's structural foundation. The old mortar crumbled, and sliding out of a hidden sealed cavity in the brickwork came a heavily rusted, vintage hunting rifle wrapped in an oil-stained newspaper, bearing the exact headline from the infamous cold case murder that had destroyed my family 20 years ago. The horrifying, deeply vindicating reality instantly clicked in my brain. The house my brother-in-law had just purchased was the original crime scene, and the weapon that framed my innocent uncle had been hidden inside the masonry by the actual killer, who was none other than my brother-in-law's own grandfather. Without a second hesitation, I dropped my hammer, pulled a thick legal dossier and my high-resolution forensic evidence bags from my canvas tool bag, and bagged the weapon. I walked out of the house, got into my truck, and drove straight to the State Police Cold Case Division. I slammed the ballistic evidence and my certified investigative warrants down onto the lead detective's desk. Before my brother-in-law even had time to pour his evening scotch, heavy police boots echoed through his estate as a swarm of county tactical units surged into his living room, slapping heavy steel handcuffs onto his designer wrists. I didn't yell, I didn't gloat, and I didn't accept his frantic, pathetic phone calls trying to negotiate his freedom. I calmly sat in my truck, watched his elite empire implode under the flashing blue lights of the police cruisers, and returned the next morning to my quiet life of wearing my apron and opening my workshop. Watching a monster lose his freedom over a long-forgotten brick wall was the ultimate vindication. But I have to ask you, was I wrong for tearing down the fireplace just to ensure he inherited a house built on concealed evidence, or should I have smashed it open the very second I realized what was buried inside? Drop your verdict in the comments.